Hey, it's the Ed Show at MMS 2013, and well, you know what? We're in Vegas. I was in the elevators the other day. I saw that all the boy bands are getting back together, so I figured we get this boy band back together.
We do our own reunion show. I like it. Cool.
With me, Adam Carter, former master evangelist. I give you promotion too, right?
Formerly Adam Baum.
Formerly Adam Baum.
Of Technical.
And now you do something with the DVIs.
Yeah.
Or the VDIs.
Or the DVs and the
yes.
DVs. Yeah.
There's acronyms.
I work, so about a year and a half ago, I joined the Windows Server team as the VDI and Remote Desktop Technical Product Manager.
Awesome.
That's my life now.
And you delivered a session yesterday, I understand.
I did. Had a session yesterday. I'm helping out with a couple more as the week goes on.
So let's talk a little bit first about kind of some of the newness, the goodness in Windows Server 2012 around VDI and Remote Desktop, so which was what your session was on.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about, obviously my favorite thing, and it's probably the most over-talked about thing that we actually have, but how simple it is to really set up, right? It's everybody's favorite demo to do is the Quick Start Wizard.
Yep.
There's some other things outside of that, right?
Yep.
Some momentum and things going around there.
Yeah, there's basically three pillars that I kind of lump all of the improvements in, and there's tremendous improvements in all of them. Efficient management is really one of the key ones. It used to be 6 consoles, now it's 1 console. What used to be a week and a 100-page white paper is now 6 clicks and a cup of coffee to get a VDI proof of concept up and running on a single box. VDI in a box we can do very, very simply. The other places we made improvements are really in making VDI as low cost as possible. I always tell customers, if you're going to do VDI to save money, you might be disappointed. You're buying server hardware now, not client hardware. But what we find is, if you choose the Microsoft platform, because we're built on top of Hyper-V, all the great improvements in Hyper-V, shared nothing migration, all the things like storage spaces in Server 2012, that all comes along for free. VDI benefits from it. So, especially in that storage space, disk I/O is always the biggest bottleneck in VDI. Suddenly I've got 100 machines hitting a disk that used to only be 1 machine hitting. How do I get all that? How do I just fix that bottleneck? Things like scale-out file clustering, the things we can do with locally attached storage. You don't have to have a SAN to do VDI. Throw some fast solid-state disks in a local machine to host your master image. So some great improvements to make it a lower-cost option. Things like fair share to better load balance and improve the experience for users, even when the machine's under load, are hugely successful. The other place, efficient management, low cost, and then the third one is rich user experience. Users aren't going to use it if it's not any good. If they feel like it's slow, if they feel like it's laggy, if they feel like it's not as good as their local desktop, they're not going to use it. So huge improvements in WAN performance, just the experience in terms of any USB device I can plug in is just going to work in that remote session. All of those kinds of things really give us a great high fidelity experience for users on accessing a machine in the data center even from Starbucks, even from intercontinental connections. We can still deliver a great experience.
So VDI has been kind of this trend out there. So I mean, you basically have 2 major trends that we're starting to see in this quote-unquote consumerization space, right? You had Brad talking about yesterday about managing devices where they are on the internet. The other option is enablement, and basically, okay, we're not necessarily going to manage the device, but we're going to enable a customer experience.
Yep.
Talk to me a little bit about kind of where things are moving from maybe a device perspective, but also how are customers picking this up? Is that momentum really on that upswing, or is this kind of one of those niche kind of things that only work for certain scenarios?
We see both. People-centric IT and this enablement we talk about where users want to use the devices they have. Users are even willing to pay more to use their own device instead of using a corporate-issued phone or device. So how can we enable that? And VDI is a great way to do that. It still gives IT a managed desktop or managed application delivery to whatever device users want to choose. The other place we see VDI really taking off is people that need high security environments or their data is critical. They can't let that data leak out, or they have uptime requirements. There's a great example, an unfortunate example a few years ago when they had the tsunami in Japan where entire buildings were washed away. There was nowhere for people to go back to work. With highly available data centers and the ability to fail that over to another location, users can work from anywhere by remotely connecting to their desktops and their applications. So we see it a lot in hospitals or hospital groups where you have people roaming from clinic to clinic, need to be able to get to their apps and their patient data from whatever device they're on. They start in a patient room on a PC in there, they move back to a nursing station to finish a report. How do they pick up where they left off? We can give you that kind of continuity of experience roaming right from wherever you are, you're able to access what you're on, whatever machine you're on. And then in finance, they love it because they've got all this intellectual property, all this sensitive data. They don't want it leaving the data center. They don't want a lost laptop. They don't want a lost USB key. We can keep all that data in the data center with VDI.
Are there certain types of devices that you're starting to see trends around, like that I like my VDI experience on this, or are thin clients still kind of out there and still relevant, or is everybody just turning their old PCs basically into dumb terminals?
We're seeing all of that. We're seeing all of those things. That's one of the great things we've seen since we released Server 2012 is the thin client vendors have picked up the new protocol, the improvements we made in the protocol for WAN performance and video playback and things like that. The major thin client providers are all releasing new firmware that support the new protocols. Both those on embedded and even the ones that aren't running on Windows embedded, they're picking up the new protocol. Same with applications. If you've got, or when I say applications, I mean RDP applications. So I've
Sure.
got an Apple branded device. I've got an iPad, okay?
Right.
I want to access Windows applications on it. We've got a great relationship with Citrix, and they deliver clients for any device imaginable. But we've also got, if you go into the App Store, there's, and search for RDP, you can find a dozen different clients. And again, they are taking the new protocol improvements, they're updating it in their clients, taking advantage of things like our XML feed and our email subscription to your applications to make it easy to deliver that experience on those devices too. All kinds of just cool momentum. Everybody is seeing the improvements. They're taking advantage of them. Companies, some of the major hardware guys, Dell and HP, for example, we've got more coming. You can call them up and say, I need a 350-seat VDI deployment. They can drop you a half rack with a couple of machines in it and storage, plug it in and go. Dell's got the same thing. You need 400 seats, 500 seats, 1,000 seats. Dell's got a reference architecture to deliver that native experience for you.
Very cool. So everything's optimized for you. You don't have to go through a lot of those, typical architectural type discussions when you go through.
Yeah, they've done all that work for you. They've spent some time. We actually have a session here at MMS. We just built a 2,000-seat deployment in a lab back home. We used the login VSI tools to simulate workload, so we know that it works. And but the vendors have all done that same. The hardware vendors have done that same work for you. They already know. Here's how many typical office workers you're going to get on this hardware. Here's the solution. Just drop it in, plug it in.
Very cool. Very cool. When we were talking earlier, one of my favorite questions I like to ask when I do a pre-interview screen, and we were just sitting around chatting, I said, so what are the common questions that you get in your sessions? You just did that session, overflowing, people sitting on the floor and everything.
Yeah.
What are those common questions?
There are, how much time do I have? There are 3 questions that I always get.
As much time as you need.
I can really count on getting 3 questions in every session that I do. The first one is, are you guys going to do an iPad client? The answer is, we do great Windows clients. It's a great modern app in Windows 8. It's great, the terminal server client has existed in every version of Windows going back as far as I can think of. We put those clients, we build those in. Windows 7, Windows 8, again, we've made those protocol improvements available in those. For those other clients, we license the RDP protocol. Like I said, if you've got an iPad, you've got Android devices, go to the App Store for that. You can find some great clients out there. There's lots of providers doing those. So that's how I answer the iPad question. I say, hey, we focus on making great Windows clients. We've got great partners that know iOS. They're building those for us. The second question I get is, do I still need Citrix?
Yeah, I hear that often.
Yeah, and the answer, I was in consulting for a lot of years, so I'm qualified to answer this. It depends. Citrix is a great partner. Lots of VDI happening. They're doing lots on Hyper-V and with our stack. We've got a great solution out of the box. The things that add on, the air gap that we have that Citrix provides really is non-Windows clients, because they do a client for everything. You don't have to think about which devices are out there.
Right.
Citrix will have a client for it. The other one is very complex management scenarios. We kind of designed ours with a sweet spot of like a 500-seat experience. The management console is really designed to manage about 500 seats. It scales further than that. You want to do 2,000 seats, 5,000 seats. We've tested it up to that experience. But it just becomes a little bit cumbersome. If I've got 5 people that say, hey, my session just hung and I need to reboot it, I'd have to scroll through a list of 5,000 machines and individually reboot all those. Now we've got PowerShell script, and that's what I tell customers. If you want to scale that high, you're probably going to want to automate a lot of stuff anyway, so you're going to be using PowerShell most likely for that. But if I want to do a global roll-up, I want to see I've got multiple geographies with VDI deployments in all of them. I want to see a single roll-up of what's happening everywhere, and I want to delegate administration tasks. Citrix does a great job of that. That's where you bring Citrix in.
Okay.
And the third one is our experience is designed for Server 2012 and Windows 8 or Windows 7 clients. Lots of customers still have XP virtual machines that they want to deliver, even though we're on the countdown now until end of life for that product.
Yep.
People still in the middle of their migration, so they've got XP desktops, or they've still got 2003 terminal servers because they've got IE6 apps or something. Citrix can manage all of those operating system versions from their console, where we really just support the latest and greatest. So those are the three big reasons I see to go with Citrix: non-Windows support, very complex administration experience, and multiple operating systems.
Okay. And you had one more.
The third question, how much time do we have? The third question that
I know exactly where you're going with this.
The third question I always get is, can you explain licensing? We're confused by the licensing.
I'm confused by the licensing.
So let me see how simple I can make it. There's really two components that you need to license.
Okay.
Your connection into the infrastructure, so the licensing for how do I access my VDI and then you've got the licenses for the operating systems that you're connecting to.
Sure.
Which isn't unreasonable. If I got a physical PC, I got to have a license for Windows on it.
Right.
Now I've got a virtual Windows PC, I still need a license for it. So here's how we do it. The infrastructure connection, if you're using a native Microsoft solution, is the RDS CAL, Remote Desktop Services CAL. I'm going to assume people already know about user CALs for server access and their server licenses. But now you want to do remote desktop, either sessions or VDI. If you're using any of our components, you're using our broker, you're using our remote desktop virtualization host, session host, basically any of those RD services, you need an RDS CAL.
Okay.
And then you're done at that point on the Microsoft side. If you're doing session hosting, you're doing what we used to call terminal services, you're doing remote desktop session host, that's really all you need. You're done at the RDS CAL. VDI's got this extra step of complexity now where we need to license that operating system that's running in the virtual machine, that Windows 7 or Windows 8 license.
Yeah.
There's a couple of ways you can do that. If you've already got software assurance on your desktops, one of the software assurance benefits is access to a virtual copy of that operating system.
Okay.
So I already got Windows 7 desktops, now I want to go to Windows 7 VDI, you're covered if you've got software assurance. Now you've got scenarios, let's take scenarios where a customer doesn't have software assurance or they don't have PCs. We're giving everybody an iPad, but we have a Windows app we want to deliver to it.
Okay.
So while I don't have software assurance on that iPad, how do I license that virtual operating system? We have a license called VDA, Virtual Device Access License.
Okay.
It's a subscription license, so you re-up it every year, but when you buy that license, that gives you access to the latest version of Windows Enterprise and access from basically any device.
Okay.
So those are the two most common scenarios. SA, you're done,
Yep.
or VDA if you don't have SA. And then we came up with this idea, well, some people have that physical desktop, but they also have some extra devices. You've got your Surface here,
Yep.
maybe I've got a PC and an iPad. Should I have to buy another VDA license for all those when I've already got SA? So we created this add-on for SA. It's called a companion subscription license.
Okay.
Which says, hey, if your primary desktop is covered, rather than spend that $100 a year on VDA, we give you this discount with CSL, with this companion subscription. It's cheaper. Retail is $75, so it's cheaper anyway. And it lets you use that secondary device as your access point.
Okay.
And then you actually get up to 4 devices. So hey, I've got an RDP client on my phone, I've got one on my iPad, I've also got a Surface, I got my physical PC. I get up to 4 companion devices that I can access from with CSL.
So it's really not as complex as I think as people. If you just look at it from, hey, look, we've got to make sure you've got this, and you've got this, and they're all operating systems. You've got to make sure you've had them licensed, and then you have to license that key to unlock the door to get to them.
Yeah, and I should clarify, the RDS CAL is if you're using the Microsoft native solution.
Right.
If you're using VMware View, you're using Citrix Zen Desktop, you're paying for those products. You're paying for that access to the infrastructure. The client operating system license is still required regardless of whose solution you're using.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're doing View, you're doing Zen Desktop, you're still in that software assurance or VDA or CSL space.
Awesome. Awesome.
It's not that scary. It's not that complex.
Well, Adam, I think we should tell the folks at home a little surprise that we have, actually, that we are going to actually do an entire single day of in-depth training on remote desktop services and VDI.
Yes, we got the jump start. That'll be cool. You're hosting it with our good friend at HOL Systems with Corey Hines. I'm going to drop in. I'll do a cameo there. But that's April 18th. It's a free all-day online seminar. You'll be able to, if you're accessing it real time, do the Q&A, or they'll be available on demand afterwards. But great opportunity to really expose yourself to the VDI experience, Server 2012.
Yep, absolutely. And I will link the registration. I'll put the registration link in on this post. I'll also link to your session. Thanks for coming back, man. It's been a while since we've seen you around here.
I have been super busy. I love what you guys are doing. And,
Look what we've done with the place.
I love what you've done with the place. And
remember the single camcorder and barely able to hold the thing?
I remember the days. And the first couple of MMSs, where it was me running around with a camcorder and a tripod. And then there was the year you got stuck in Europe because of the volcano. And I was here by myself trying to put the camcorder in front of me. You guys have grown up a little bit.
We've grown up a little bit. Thanks for joining us, man. I will see you April 18th.
I'll be there.
Cheers, man.